Welcome to From the Clinic to the Courtroom, Health Law Unpacked.
Hello and welcome to From the Clinic to the Courtroom, Health Law Unpacked with Maria T. Santi, Esquire, founder and managing partner of the Health and Medicine Law Firm. Maria and the team are focused on providing exceptional legal services with efficiency, accuracy, attention to detail, and a high work ethic. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're going to talk about how to choose the right attorney for a health insurance denial case. Maria, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again. Happy to be here.
You've talked before about there's not a lot of lawyers who do what you do in this specific space. What makes the health and medicine law area so different from other areas of legal practice?
Yes, that's true. So what is so different about it is that it's you have to be very meticulous because there's a lot of an interplay of all the levels of law. So when it comes to healthcare and health insurance, you are dealing with administrative law, you're dealing with state law, and you're dealing with federal law. So an attorney really needs to know the nuances of the applicable laws to know if there's going to be legal action, how you have to take that legal action, and if you can even take legal action in the first place, depending on the type of plan that a person has. You can find every single type of scenario that you would not find in other types of insurance policies. So it takes a lot of groundwork and a lot of preliminary review to even decide to file a lawsuit in this area of law.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, there's so many different specific areas of law. I mean, you talk to immigration attorneys. You don't want to handle an immigration case with someone who doesn't do immigration law. You don't want to handle personal injury with someone who doesn't do personal injury law. So, it makes sense that like anything else, this is a field that's nuanced, and you need to know the nuances to really be successful.
Yes, exactly. You're really reading a lot of things, and you have to know exactly what you're dealing with.
Yeah. I think we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to ask you again. What made you want to go into this area specifically?
So what made it's pretty much my life story in a nutshell, where I always wanted to be a pediatrician since I was little. And I ended up getting married young, so my priorities shifted. And I ended up becoming a psychology major. And I taught because I had kids, and it was the perfect mom job. And then just going through another life change, then I decided to go to law school after I had my kids. So at that point, when I started law school, they had a health law concentration. And I thought, hey, this is perfect because I can now combine everything I've always loved, medicine and science and the law, and actually do health law concentration. So that's where it all got started. And it was also the emphasis of the need for this in the community, where I think I worked with a pediatrician since I was 17 to I was 18. I mean, not too long, but I learned a lot. And since that time, my entire life, even throughout law school, my family, my friends would always call me if they had an issue with the health insurance, if they had an issue with a medical bill. It was always like, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? I fought for my son multiple times. I fought for my grandma for health insurance coverage. And it was just it was like I was being guided in that direction. And since I already had that innate desire to be a doctor and to be in medicine, this kind of just fell right in, and it all just blended together. And it was like, oh, wow, now I can help the doctors help people get treatment when they don't get denied. Yeah. And then after, I'm very much about, so I need to have purpose in what I do. I know not many attorneys are like that, but I'm just not one of those attorneys. I have to have purpose and a mission. And if not, I'm not satisfied in what I do. So for me, that's my purpose, helping these people that can't get treatment, that their doctors can't even get it because of insurance, to get what they need. And that was solidified. After I helped my grandmother, she said, well, how did you do this? Please help all the people out there. Like she was saying, please come and help all these people, all these little old people around me that don't know how to do this. And that really inspired me to keep going. And one of my first cases, I had talked about this in one of the episodes, was that little girl that, it was a life-saving medication of $2 million, where I told her mother a little bit about my life story. And when she told me, well, you've done everything that all the doctors couldn't do for my daughter, I was just like, wow, that was just, even now, like I get chills every time I remember
Yeah.
what she told me.
That's
It
a
was
special moment.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, again, like confirming this is your path. Like you should continue doing this because you truly are making a difference and helping people. So that's what motivates me. That's what guides me. And that's why I continue to do what I do.
I don't understand people like you, Maria. How do you have the energy? You have kids. You're teaching psychology, and you go to law school. Kudos to you, but I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah, I don't know how I did it. I have a great supportive family, so that was definitely part of the equation.
Helps.
And just faith and just wanting to get it done.
Do you find that your background in psychology kind of helps a little bit too? Dealing with insurance companies, trying to figure out like the nuances of all these different things?
So I think it definitely does help a little bit in the legal aspect and in the cases and dealing with insurance, because I kind of have like a foundation of where they're coming from as far as statistics. Like when you do psychology, I don't know if you knew, but you need to do very high level statistics courses, and you need to understand how they're doing all these studies and how they're
Yeah.
picking their samples and how they're coming to these conclusions, and then how they're making their findings. So I think that is definitely helpful, because when I'm reviewing all this information and their coverage guidelines and the journals, medical journals that they cite, like that's my foundation. Like I had to study journal articles. I had to know how they came up with it. I had to know how they got the samples, how they even could say that it was reliable or not reliable. So yeah, it helps to get to know where they're coming from, and knowing that it's not just the policy that they're looking at. They're looking at the bigger picture that can be skewed in any direction, really. Knowing psychology and statistics, it just depends what information is being put into that data set. So it definitely, I guess, helps in knowing that that's not the end all of all things.
I still wake up in cold sweats thinking about my college stats class, so can't relate to you on that one. When someone is looking for a lawyer, they're interviewing a lawyer, what type of questions should they ask to ensure that attorney understands the nuances of their case?
So I think obviously the basic questions, like, what is the lawyer's experience? What is their background? Are they specialized in a certain area or not? That's all very important to know. I would say like the work ethic of the attorney and the staff, like, do you get a feel for how they're going to work on your case? Are they asking the right questions? Because I think a good attorney is going to be asking you a lot of questions about your case, and is going to be gathering information to make sure that you have a case. So those
True.
are definitely things that I think a good attorney will do. Like if you get an attorney that says, oh, I'm just going to sign your case right now, and they don't ask questions, I would be very skeptical as to what the motivations of that attorney is, and because they don't even know if you have a case. So
is that just a numbers thing at that point, you think? They're just basically saying yes to everything?
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially with these types of cases, like you can't do that. It really, like, you have to make sure that they're asking questions, and
Right.
they're really looking at the issues that need to be looked at to see if there is a case or not.
What are some other red flags that you would say people should watch out for when interviewing a lawyer or just talking to a lawyer?
Red flags. Well, I mean, I don't want to put any colleagues down or talk about things that I may not know. I just think if it's just not even looking or asking questions, that's definitely one thing. Or if they're just all about just taking money, and they're more about, oh, well, you got to pay this and you got to pay that. And, they're just finding a way to get money out of you. That would be another red flag, because There are a lot of ways in these types of cases where you can do these cases on contingency and the patient wouldn't have to pay. So that's another red flag. And I would say an attorney that perhaps doesn't have a specialty and is just taking on whatever they can find, that would definitely be another red flag I think somebody would need to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, yeah, in any case, in any lawyer you're looking for, if they're just taking everything around them, that definitely be something that you might want to look out for sure. When it comes to this type of law, one of the things that, we've talked numerous episodes now, and I feel like you really need compassion in order to do this. You need some sort of empathy. And I'm not saying that you don't for other areas of law, but how important is that compassion? How important is that empathy to being successful in these cases?
Yeah, so definitely in this kind of environment, you do need empathy, especially when people are going through treatment and they're getting denied very, sensitive life-saving treatment. That's definitely something that you can't be successful if you're not going to show compassion or empathy, because you need to sit down and listen. You need to sit down and know what their struggles are. A lot of times it's not just affecting them, it's also affecting the family. So it does take a lot of empathy to just listen to them while they're going through these difficult times. There's maybe some cases where they already got the treatment and we're just talking about money, and then that one, it's a little different, but it's still, a lot of people are affected financially also. So
Sure.
It takes a certain characteristic. You can't just say, okay, well, here, this is what happened today, and hang up. You really need to understand what they're going through. And we're really, like, when we're dealing with these patients, a lot of times we're like their last hope, and they see us like as the beacon of light that is like their last draw. So we try to be very sensitive in those types of situations.
Well, isn't it true that isn't that the number one way Americans get in debt is health costs, issues like that?
Yes, that there have been several studies on that, and medical bills, that a lot of people get into debt and even go into bankruptcy because of medical bills. There have been like some new laws coming out on medical bills where they are making some changes, but it's not fully changed yet. So
yeah, something about they're not reported to the credit bureaus the same way or something like that, right? Where they're not going to ding you as much.
Right. I don't know the specifics of that, but
me neither.
there are some changes, and there's still some rules being made. It's not completely finalized.
Yeah, I did hear about that though, and that would be a nice little bonus, especially because it's you don't need that new TV, but you do need the medicine that's going to keep you alive. So
exactly.
That should not ding you on your credit if you're getting into trouble because of that. I feel that for sure.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you would like every patient to know going into fighting a denial, what would it be?
I think so. It would be, I've talked about this before, like the checklists, basically knowing that they're operating through this checklist, not to give that too much weight, because that's why you have a doctor. The doctor's practicing medicine, and you have to realize that this health insurance company just has this coverage guideline, which you should find. Like, that's the first step. Look for those coverage guidelines, because a lot of times they use them and you actually do meet the criteria. They just aren't telling you what the criteria is. So find those coverage guidelines, which you can often get online, and you have a right to get it from them if you ask for it, and see exactly why they're denying it. Because just like they are using that little checklist, now you can look at it and say, well, you're wrong, because look at all the check marks that I have, and I do meet this. And that's definitely something a lot of people don't know, that these coverage guidelines exist and sometimes work in their favor.
We talked about this previously, but did not enough people realize that they can fight? Is there something that, like, when people come into your office, do they often think that are they hopeful, or a lot of times are they beaten down?
I would say that most of the time they're beaten down because they're just desperate. Like, it's like, this is the last resort. It's just, nobody wants to get into a legal battle. Like, nobody wants to fight in court. They're just like, this is it. I have nowhere else to go. How can you help me? And then that's the point where they realize, like, they're just trying to find another way, another avenue after all these denials that will help them get what they need.
Well, kudos to you for doing what you do. We definitely need it. And thank you for tuning into From the Clinic to the Courtroom, Health Law Unpacked with Maria T. Santi, Esquire. To connect with Maria and the team, head to healthandmedicinelawfirm.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Give us a review. Maria, really good having you here. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.